Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15. Thank you for joining us. The Carroll City Council meeting will begin at 5:15.
All right, good evening. It's time for our meeting, and let's begin with the Pledge of Allegiance, please.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, the roll call will show that all council members are here and present. And the first thing we have on the agenda is a school resource officer presentation. And Brad, would you like to begin with that?
Yep, I will get started for us. Thank you, Mayor. This is just a follow-up. We're just about to the end of the school year. And when we started this program last year, you guys asked for just an update at the end of the year. We did this about Christmas time for the school board. So I asked Casey Burlaw, he's the school superintendent, to come. He brought Greg Villegas with him. He's the middle school assistant principal. And then Matt Kennebeck is the SRO. Just a little statistics, I guess, nothing too over the top, but the previous years, the officers were in the school for the DARE program. Even this last year, they were there up till Christmas. Our DARE officer has retired, and at this point, we're not planning on continuing that. We don't have another officer that's interested in taking the position up, and it's quite a task that they take on, and we don't believe that the SRO can handle it at the same time. It'd be too much classroom time where they'd be really stuck in a classroom at the middle school for that. But then the previous years, the DARE officer was at the school 2 to 3 days a week for one semester. And then the semester, and then it switched every first semester or second semester, depending on the year. And then the semester that he was not doing instruction, he came, I think he did a half day once a week and did some classes there. This last school year, Matt Kennebeck, who is our SRO, has been in the school about 1,200 total hours. So that's quite an increase, of course, from the years past. He has handled all the schools, the elementary schools. He's there. He's not there nearly as much as he is the middle school and the high school. He does make presence at the middle schools also. He's created a pretty good working relationship with all the staff members there. From what I see, he's got a good relationship with a lot of the students. Any of the situations that may have started at the beginning of the year, we saw those drastically decrease towards the end of the year. And he handles everything from law enforcement activity. He helps with any kind of school policy. He doesn't really a school policy enforcer, but he's there if needed for anything. And he's just a lot of interaction with the students. He's also done classroom instruction in and out of the classroom. He's available if needed for extracurricular activities that could be after school. We didn't maybe not get as many hours this year there as we were in the school, but we'll keep increasing on those too. He is certified as a school resource officer. He's going to be going to an advanced SRO school in June. We also have one of our supervisors going to a SRO supervisor school this summer too. We have not had that in the past, so that'll be something new. So our sergeant on the day shift will kind of have a general working knowledge of how the SRO program works outside of what we're just observing. So we'll get more of an inside training through a program. Those are both scheduled to be done in June. During the summer months, Matt's scheduled to fill in one of the gaps for an officer who's retiring this Friday or resigning this Friday. He's worked with us for 5 years. He's at retirement age and he's moving out of state with his family. So Matt's going to pick up his shift until we can get it backfilled or until he goes back to school in the fall. My observation of this is it's been a great program. It's worked, I think, very well for the school and for us. We presented the school board and I got pretty good feedback from them too. And I haven't heard much negative feedback from any of the staff that I've talked to, or really I haven't really talked to a lot of the students, but I have not heard anything negative from them either. So I'll let these three kind of give you a little update of what they saw throughout the year. And if you guys have any questions at the end or throughout, feel free to ask.
Well, thank you again for letting us come talk to you about this program. As we finish our first year, I think it's a great opportunity to just check in and let you know how it's going, given that you committed resources and the school district has committed resources. So from a high level, from my chair, I would say it has been a good addition to our school district. I think Matt's been able to do a variety of things. One of the things Matt has the ability to do is connect with kids and staff, and that's been a real benefit. I think a lot of times with school resource officers, we think that they're, standing there with their arms folded with a firearm and trying to scare kids, and really that's not what his role is. I know he's done a lot to connect with kids, help kids in a variety of ways, but when we have issues, having somebody there to help us through, whether it's the legal processes involved, it is important and has been a great addition. He spends most of his time at the high school, middle school, but it's really cool to see him at the elementary, like just last week or in the last couple of weeks, helping with bike safety, traffic safety, some of those kind of things. It's cool to see. So Greg will be able to talk a little bit more in detail about some of the things he does at the high school, but those are things that I really wanted to point out. But I think it really allowed us to take another step in making sure we can have the safest environment that we can have in our schools. So we appreciate the partnership, and hopefully that can continue. But Greg, what do you want to add?
No, I appreciate your time. I'd like to mirror what Chief Burke had said. Matt's been a great addition to our school. We do have sometimes issues that arise. Officer Kennebeck has been very, very good at building relationships with students first and then families as well. So we get a lot of parents that will come in for different situations. He takes bad situations and makes it as smooth as possible for our families, which is a huge plus for Officer Kennebeck in that role. Our staff feels extremely supported and safe when he's around. I wish we can have more time at the high school levels and the middle school levels. It is very limited on time, but he's been doing a fantastic job with making connections. Your budget for stickers are probably going up tremendously because he gets those. There's a lot of students that come and want those badge stickers. And he always has a smile on his face, and then kids are approaching him, not just in a negative time in their life, but throughout the school day as well. So.
Hello, I'm Matt Kennebeck. I am the school resource officer. There's been a lot of positives to this program, I believe. What I think the biggest positive is there being kind of a bridge between law enforcement and the youth here. So, a lot of times, calling the police is a kind of a scary thing for kids. They don't do that all the time. And so if they just say, oh, well, I'm going to see Matt tomorrow, I can just go and talk to him. So, I think that there's a lot of things that get reported that might not get reported if I wasn't around. We just have more of a relationship where they're comfortable to come in and talk to me. We do a lot of classroom stuff, bike safety, traffic safety, stuff like that. Yeah, I think it's been positive. I think we learned a lot this year. You know, I think where people expected my role to be and where my role actually is, I think we're just learning together about where I stand in the school, and you know, I think we'll just continue to get more efficient and have more positive things come from it.
Just one thing to finish up, and then if you've got questions for us. I think, as he mentioned, one of the challenges with it is now we have this police officer in our building and we didn't before, so what does that mean for staff? So one of the things that we made sure, and it's a continual message that we have to continue to talk about, like if a student is misbehaving in the classroom, the SRO is not the call. That's still the principal or the administrator in the building. It's not the school resource officer. So there were some things that we had to, you know, clear up in that area as we went along. But Matt and Brad both were really good to work with. If we had any questions or things we needed to change, talk about the schedule, both were very willing to meet with us and work through that. So that was a positive for sure.
Well, I have a question for you.
Yep.
And thank you for serving like this. I think it's been a good thing. And my question is going to be on bullying, okay?
Okay.
Now, I want to know if you have special training to identify it, because it's usually kind of clandestine, under the kind of hidden.
Mm-hmm.
Do you have any training to help identify that? If not, is there any available?
There is the issue with the bullying. So in my lane, I have to have evidence and I have to have proof before I can move forward, you know, with a charge. So usually bullying, we're looking at a harassment. In my lane, it needs to be pretty repeated, and there has to be quite a bit of documentation. But the sooner that we can get that documentation started, the sooner we can get it handled. So I think the relationships that I'm building with the students, I think we get that documentation started sooner. You know, because usually they don't come to a police officer until it's been going on for a long time. So if we can get that documentation started sooner, we can handle it quicker.
So when you just mentioned that before about going to the principal first, is if that sort of thing is happening, let's say a cyber issue.
Okay.
Would you prefer that they go to someone in your department or to the SRO? The student.
We want those things reported just like we always have, not any different because we have an SRO. So we want to report to the school. We follow our policy. And then, you know, in that process, we would then, if it made sense to bring the SRO in, cyber bullying a lot of times is outside of school, but it gets brought into school. So it could be something that as we gather the information, we determine we need to get the SRO involved. But that's how we want it to be handled.
I have a question too. First of all, Matt, Officer Kennebeck, you're doing a great job. I think it's somewhat disheartening that we hired a new officer. We just came off of a heroin crisis and we're currently in a fentanyl epidemic, and we are now, with this extra person, we are getting rid of the DARE program. The DARE program is this just a Carroll County thing? Is this a statewide thing? Is it a nation thing? Is this a...
I can kind of take that one. So the biggest thing that we have is it takes the right officer to do the DARE program. Bellinghausen was our officer. He did it for 20 plus years. He needs to be really engaged, be able to instruct in the classroom, be comfortable with the topic, and engaging with the students that way. We don't currently have an officer who's interested in taking on that role, and so that's what that's kind of going away for us. We've also done it for Glidden over the years. The county does not offer this option, so we've kind of done it for anyone that's asked.
And the officer in the school doesn't have time to. My thing is, when it comes to kids and drugs, love bike safety, love all that. When it comes to kids and drugs in today's society, it's a zero fault mentality. It really is. Like, I mean, they take one drug and they're gone.
We're going to keep doing the presentations, and Matt will pick up on some of the slack with those types of programs. We're just not going to have one person dedicated. When he's there for classroom, it's an entire day. It's actually I think it's 2 days a week in the middle school. So if he's occupied for 2 days a week in the middle school for an entire semester, then it kind of takes away his role in the other aspects of it. But he's gonna do some classroom instruction like he has done this year, but it'll kind of pick up that gap for that, the DARE program has left off.
Does that go over to the other school as well? Just 'cause,
We
I mean,
currently have nothing planned with the other school just because we don't have an officer that's gonna do the DARE program. So we have officers that get in the school over there at the Kemper school system. We have a couple officers who are on their safety team, and so they've been part of some of those programs, but they haven't actually sat down and done any instruction, only because this year we had the DARE program that was still in place. So
Yeah, I mean,
going
hopefully-
forward, I don't know how that looks with the
And
other
hopefully you see
schools.
my frustration with it. We hired a new officer and now we're dropping something that I think is, I mean, very detrimental to our kids to not, that everyone they see doesn't say, don't take drugs.
Yeah, right, you know, in the DARE program, I think was great. You know, when it comes down to it though, I'm one guy, there's 4 schools. You know, I think that my call volume and, the amount of things I do in a day it's just too high to actually take on that DARE program also. You know, where being available is a big part of my position as well, for when things happen, so I can't be locked up in classroom multiple days a week, and still get my other duties done.
Okay, so this is just here in Carroll thing, that we're not doing it. And I know some of you guys don't have.
I would say
Carroll.
DARE as a program in general, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt,
Yeah,
but
no.
my experience in law enforcement in the past number of years, DARE is actually going away.
Is it? Okay.
It's a, I wouldn't say a dying program, but it's a dying program.
In the 90s was probably the biggest time of
Yes.
the DARE program in the state of Iowa, and I would guess now a quarter of the departments do DARE any longer,
Okay.
if even at all.
That makes sense. Okay.
Brad, do they even do the training in Iowa anymore? It used to be, it was like every other year they
Yeah,
might
every,
do a
every
training.
summer the DARE board hosts a DARE training.
Okay.
And they have officers that do come to the training there.
Well, that makes sense. I just didn't know if it was just us that was like, you know, so, okay. Thanks, keep up the good work, Officer Kennedy.
I got a question for you. Have you made personal contacts with these kids so much that after school hours, they call you or want some help?
They'll call the police department, you know, where I try to keep, you know, I don't give out my number, you know, so they're not gonna call me after.
Okay.
But, you know, there's a lot of mornings where first thing in the morning, there's 3 or 4 kids outside of my office and they're waiting to talk to me. So, you know what, Monday morning specifically, just 'cause after everything happens over the weekend, they're, well, I gotta talk to Matt about this. No, I wouldn't say that they call me outside of school, no.
I will say though, I have gotten, whenever I run to people on the weekends, they've asked if they can get a hold of Matt, so that it has been, there must be some connection there that they're wanting to talk to him specifically. And I'll direct them to him, just if it's not an emergency, Monday morning, stop in and talk with him, so.
That's good, very good to hear that.
Glad it's working out. Cindy, do you have, I'm curious, I used to do the school resource, or not school resource, school liaison officer 100 years ago. I would have kids approach me in the grocery store, off duty. Do you have kids that see you out and about on your normal work, you know, when you're at the grocery store or whatever, and say, Officer Kenneback, how you doing?
All the time. You know, and it happens for every law enforcement officer. You know, before the school resource officer position, it was people I didn't necessarily want to be running into all the time, but now it's the youth and it's good to see them. You know, I'll walk out of Casey's and they park right next to my door, so I can't get into my car. You know, it's just constant. I don't think I can go anywhere without having interaction.
And those kinds of things wouldn't happen absent this program, probably.
Correct.
Right, that's
Yeah,
great.
Yeah, and it's all positive. They're very excited about it. You know, I need to get a different car.
That's cool.
That's neat.
All right, well, thank you very much.
Thank you guys very much.
Thanks,
Thank you guys.
All right, we'll move on to the consent agenda, which includes approval of minutes of the May 11th, 2026 meeting, approval of bills and claims, approvals of licenses and permits, those being renewal of Class E retail alcohol license for Beer 30 in Carroll, renewal of Class B retail alcohol license for Grease Oil Company, renewal of special Class C retail alcohol license for Pizza Hut, renewal of Class E retail alcohol license Casey's General Store, and renewal of special Class C retail alcohol license for Napoli's Italian Restaurant, and then the street closure Carroll Chamber of Commerce Live and Local. Are there any questions regarding that?
So moved.
I'll make a move to approve the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, so Jason approved, Jeff seconded. Roll call, please.
Coster? Yes. Bauer?
Yes.
Kaler?
Yes?
Dirks?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, are there any oral requests or communications from the audience this evening regarding any topic you would like to discuss that would not be on the agenda this evening? All right, seeing none, we'll move on to ordinances. The first ordinance is West Gulfview Subdivision Urban Renewal Plan, and Aaron.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. Yeah, this is the third reading of the ordinance that would allow us to collect revenue for the Gulfview subdivision from the urban renewal dollars that are created within the division. As of this point, I haven't received anything further that you all have not received as far as comments. So I would recommend approving the third reading.
Other questions? I'd look for a motion to approve the third reading of the ordinance for the Division of Revenues under Iowa Code Section 403.19 West Gulfview Subdivision Urban Renewal.
I'll make a motion for that.
By Kyle
Second.
and Carroll, and seconded. Roll call, please.
Bauer?
Yes.
Kaler?
Yes?
Atherton?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, we also need a resolution, another one.
Yep.
Do you need to
Yeah, there's
discuss
two
that?
of them here. Yep.
Yeah, you need to just bring that up.
The resolution authorizing, or,
Hang on just a moment.
go ahead.
We need to approve the
Motion
ordinance.
to adopt
Oh,
ordinance
yeah.
now.
Right.
I would
Okay.
move that we adopt the ordinance.
Okay,
I'll second.
and that was Jeff and Kyle seconded. Roll call, please.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Kaler?
Yes?
Ordinance is adopted.
All right, now we'll go on to the resolution authorizing or confirming advancement of costs.
Yep, as with most urban renewal areas or issues like this, we typically have costs that we have prior to the ordinance being adopted, or before we get to the actual urban renewal being in place, whether it be attorney fees, stuff like that. So this is just it's a resolution allowing us to reimburse ourselves for those fees as those dollars come available to us.
If there are no questions, is there a motion to that effect?
So moved.
By Jeff
I'll second.
and Kyle seconded. Roll call, please.
Dirks?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Kaler?
Yes?
Bauer?
Yes.
Resolution's approved.
All right, and third is the resolution approving the amendment number 1 to the agreement with JEL Consulting Group.
Yes, and that's just the adjustments to when they've changed from the deep lift station to the adjustments of what we've done for the infrastructure moving forward so that they can continue to handle our this bidding and the process of getting the infrastructure installed.
What was the original cost on the engineering? Does anyone know that? Do you have that?
I will here in a second.
You're fine. I'll look it up. You're good.
Well,
No,
it's
okay.
in the memo that you
It's in
got.
the memo.
It was like 100 and,
I could, yeah.
here it is.
It's in the agreement.
It is in there, yeah, so. You're fine.
It's an additional $14,000.
Yeah.
And that was just for the downsizing from the original
Yeah.
plan to this new one?
All right, with that being said, is there a motion to approve?
So moved.
Both Jeff and Kyle seconded. Roll call, please.
Kaler?
Yes?
Atherton?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Okay, thank you. All right, no more, we'll go to the resolutions. The first is Water System Risk and Resilience Assessment and Emergency Response Plan Amendment. And Randy.
Thank you, Mayor. The America's Water Infrastructure Act required the preparation of risk and resilience assessments and emergency response plans for all community water supplies. The cities were completed in 2021 and certified to the EPA at that time. The act also required updating those plans every 5 years, and so that time has come now. We have requested and received an proposed engineering services agreement from Veenstra and Kim for the updating of the plan and assessment. The scope of services included in the proposal Contains all the services that are required for the update of those, plus cybersecurity analysis, which is now required to be submitted with that plan and assessment. The agreement scope services carries a lump sum fee of $24,700. Schedule for completion is June 30th, as required by the EPA for the assessment, and the plan is required to be submitted within 6 months after that. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your acceptance of the engineering services agreement with V&K for preparation of the assessment and plan at their proposed cost of $24,700.
Thank you, Randy. I have one question. Is that enough time? I mean, June 30th, 4.5 weeks away.
They have to get it done by then.
So
That's an
they
EPA
know
requirement.
that they have
They know
to get
that.
it done?
Yes, they do.
Randy, in layman's term, what exactly are we studying for the risk and resilience? What is it that we're planning for and preparing for?
Well, of course, the risk would try to quantify where our systems could be vulnerable in it, and then the resilience in what could be the water system.
And the emergency response plan would be in the event of such a failure?
Yes.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Any other questions? If not, I'd look for a motion to approve.
So moved.
By Jeff
Second.
and Kyle seconded. Roll call, please.
Coster,
Yes.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Dirk,
Yes.
Taylor,
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Resolution approved.
Thank you. Next resolution is Ziegler Urban Renewal Plan. We will open a public hearing on the proposal to enter into a development agreement with Ziegler Carroll LLC, and it's 5:40 PM right now. And Aaron?
Thank you, Mayor. As we talked about somewhat the last council meeting regarding the Ziegler Urban Renewal Area and the development agreement with Ziegler Caterpillar LLC. The building is a 7,400 square foot retail and warehouse space. The developer intends to lease the development property to its affiliate Ziegler Incorporated. The reason we do that with Ziegler Carroll is in order to do the development agreement, it has to be registered with the state. So they have to have an LLC here in the state. It is obviously the national corporation is out of Minnesota. The development is that the developer will put in water and sewer pipe from east of the Middle Raccoon River to the west end of their property. That will include a lift station for the sewer plant, or for the sewer pipe, and that we will give or pay at the completion of those infrastructure costs no more than $1.1 million for the improvements. And that'll be as a forgivable loan. The proposal proposes that the developer will have a minimum assessment on the building of $5.5 million.
All right, any questions from council?
I have a question, and I talked to Laura briefly about this last week, but with this new property tax legislation that I don't think the governor has signed yet, or did
It
she?
is now.
Okay. Some of the provisions in TIF are going to benefit us with this type of project, is that correct? And if so, how so? Will it shorten the amount of time it takes to recoup this money because of the additional revenue, or?
Well, as a commercial property, the new bill really doesn't affect us. The residential, it does affect because it takes the LMI portion out. So
Okay.
that actually, residential TIFs actually get shortened because that LMI funds no longer have to be withheld. A commercial property has always been a 20-year urban renewal area, and you can collect all the dollars from essentially the general fund of the county, the school, and the state and the city to repay those dollars.
And at 5.5 million, this will generate $100 and some thousand a year in property tax, is that right?
Basic figures or conservative figures are at about 104.
Okay, thank you.
The one thing they did change on the LMI, they went to a maximum of 23 years.
For the length of the urban renewal area.
Yeah.
Yep.
Which for some cities, that's a big problem for them because a lot of them go 40 years, just to pencil it out. But for this problem, that's not good. This project won't be a problem.
But like the Westfield, the Gulf View thing that we just did, this change will benefit us there because of the absence of the LMI.
Correct.
That equals to $211,500.
So we'll be able to shorten the payback period because of that additional
Yes,
revenue.
44%, yes.
Okay.
All right, anyone from the public want to comment on this? Do you now? Come on up.
Thank you, Mayor. Mark Dearmore, 2625 Forest, Carroll. In the spirit of transparency and in the public's eye, I think it's important to lay out some facts and some background on this. This whole thing came up late in my term in 2023. Vern, Aaron, you were there when we met with Terry and Health Protecting Innocence.
Draper. Terry Draper.
Yeah, thank you. What we essentially had was a handshake agreement and you can go back and look at the notes, look at all the minutes. It was a $40 million bill. We figured about a $30 million minimum assessment. Initially 20, up to 40 immediately, and potentially up to 60 jobs. So I just think that it's important that the public is aware that this proposal has been downsized substantially. The only thing that has not changed is the ask. The ask back then was actually 1 million, now it's 1.1. And what I distinctly remember from that meeting was, in the spirit of my negotiation skills, I asked if they'd be willing to pay half. You might remember that. And the guy looked at me like I was from Mars, and he said, absolutely not. And I said, well, why not? And he looked over at Laverne, and he goes, because that's not what I was led to believe. And I went, well, okay, enough of that. So if that's not what he was led to believe then, what we were led to believe, it was going to be 60 jobs and a $40 million building. And so my point here today is the reduction in what they're going to be doing for the greater good is significantly less by 6 times, and it's only 10% of the jobs. And we don't even know if those jobs, well, we already know, probably don't have to reside in Carroll, live in Carroll, work in Carroll. It's just 6 jobs similar to another one up the street. So, you know, my point here is that the council go back to the drawing board with these guys. Their position changed on it, not ours. They claimed it was cost of construction, cost of interest rates, so on and so forth. Well, don't lay that on the taxpayers to have to be responsible for. That's not taxpayers' responsibility. We have our own bills to pay. So I'll leave it with this. The payback, I never get to see what the payback, I always use ROI or whatever. But back then, a $30 million building, it really made sense, something we could go back and present to the council. We were gonna get paid back in just over 6 years, remember that?
I was gonna say 4 or 5, but I couldn't remember.
It was 6. My notes are downstairs in the basement. And so, I don't know how it all of a sudden got downsized that much. Now we're talking, I think you said 13 2 weeks ago. Now it might be closer to 10, but I'd like to see the math. But I'll bring it to a close here very quickly. So within the span of this year, the council has approved on a 4-2 measure each time a corporate hangar for millionaire jet owners, subsidies for $1 million homes, and now a 1/5 match, a 20% match for a mega $1 million corporation. So I think we can kind of see the direction that this council is headed to. And so I just ask for it to stop. And my final word is this. You know, most of you fought fervently in the legislature this session against the 2% cap, okay? People like me had advocated for it, and why. This is an exact reason why. We're not cutting essential services, we're not cutting police and fire, that's the big scare tactic, okay? But it's because of government spending. It's out of control. And we gotta draw the line somewhere. So the 2% cap, you get no sympathy from me or any other interested taxpayer, because essentially what you're doing with each of these abatements and TIFs and forgivable loan, which is just a gift, you're capping yourselves is what you're doing without the help of legislation. Think about it. You're capping yourselves. So with that, I will close. I appreciate your time, and I urge you to not move forward with this unless you go back to the drawing table with equal numbers. Thank you.
So I have a couple statements, I
I
guess.
just didn't mean to interrupt, but is it anyone else from the public want, or you want to talk about?
No,
that
I
specific-
could talk. I wanted to
Okay,
give the
go
public
ahead.
their
Come
time.
on up.
Kim Tiefenthaler, 2216 Forest. I know this Ziegler thing has gone on a long time. We understand that. We understand what the farm economy and all the economies have done. We still have to be happy that we can get this company to town, because I'm sure when things get better, which the farm swing, you boys remember folks remember the 80s? I was there. That's when it was down and dirty. Well, we're kind of there now, not as bad, but this thing will swing back around. And I'm sure these people down the road will increase this building, will increase their employees and everything. And it's just gonna be a good deal for us moving west to have that put in place so that Ziegler can take advantage of it, and we don't know who else down the line will take advantage of this. So this is a great program. We can't give up. We always say we wanna move forward, and this is what we have to do. Thank you.
Kim, do you feel like this was a good negotiated deal?
So meaning they,
So, simple question.
wanted us to put all the
Was this a
infrastructure in?
good negotiated deal? Do you feel like this was a good negotiated deal?
Sure is.
Okay,
Yep.
thank you.
I went through the 80s, I went through all that, I saw what happened then. Yeah, like I said, we're kinda down in there, but that will come back up.
All right, anyone else?
So I have a couple statements. From where this thing started, and I want Ziegler to come here as much as they possibly do. From where this thing started to where this thing is at now, right? I read True Social the other day from the President of the United States, and he said that the Iran deal was the worst negotiated deal he's ever seen. And I thought to myself, he has not seen the Cat Ziegler deal. We started at this massive project, and this has come all the way to nothing, okay? Throughout this negotiation process, we have not faltered one bit at all. They haven't given us anything. They literally left it at the exact same. As a business person, when you go in, I don't think that they negotiated like with good faith. I don't know what happened in the negotiation, because a negotiation is where two people come to an agreement, right? You give some, you take some. Would everyone agree? That's what ChatGPT says. ChatGPT says a negotiation is two people come to a common ground, okay? We have gotten nothing from the original ask to now. So either this is, what happens if we don't say no? Do we go back into negotiations? If we say no to this today, is there a possibility to go back into negotiations? Because that's why I'm a no, because it's possibly one of the worst negotiated deals. Off the definition of what a negotiation is, right? We got nothing. Absolutely nothing. So if we say no today, can we go back and negotiate? And Laverne, to you, is this the deal that you had envisioned when you brought it to us?
No.
Yeah, I mean, this deal was negotiated so bad, like, I don't understand why. If somebody can answer why we gave all this and they gave nothing in this negotiation, maybe it would change my mind. And that's why I'm a no on the negotiation factor of it. The standard of giving every company 20% towards their build that we're gonna set with this, I don't like that as well. And so that's kind of where I'm at. I'm trying to understand that this thing was supposed to be negotiated out, right? And where was the negotiation? Us saying yes to everything? And so my question, I guess, is if, let's say we put this off, do we go back in negotiations?
That would be entirely up to Ziegler, whether it's not up to us then.
But in negotiation, it is up to us, though. We can reach out, like, I mean, unless this is just them telling us, so this is basically them telling us what they need to get here, and we just said yes.
That's where we're at right now.
That's what happened. Okay, so there was no negotiation.
I don't follow why you're saying that. I mean, we've negotiated this to this point.
Watch this.
They have reduced, it's very simple. They've reduced
This is
what
very-
they're going to do at this time.
This
and
is very
we've
simple,
agreed to
too.
that. So
If I told my child to go to bed, right, and he went to bed, he just went to bed, right? Was there a negotiation there? No, there wasn't. If I tell my child to go to bed and he argues with me to stay up for 15 minutes, right, and I say 10 minutes, what happened? That was a negotiation, correct? The definition of a negotiation, right?
All right.
I have a question about the financing. Mark was talking about the 2% cap, which obviously there was negotiation at the state level on that, because I know parts of that were exempted, but the financing for this, we're proposing to come from local option sales tax, is that correct?
The initial.
Outlay.
The initial outlay.
Yes.
And then as the project gets built and becomes assessed, we recoup that money through the TIF district. So it really has no impact on property taxes other than in the long term, it adds to our commercial property tax base. Is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
You can also add if we choose, we can also add interest to that loan. So you can actually make a little bit of money on that overall loan.
Are we charging interest on this loan?
We don't charge them interest. Essentially, we're charging ourselves interest because it's our money that gets given to them. And so when they are repaying us, we just add interest to that $1.1 million. So we can gain interest on that through their property tax.
$6 million, let's just say about 3% interest. It's a 1.6 ass over 20 years.
We've never charged ourselves that much, but that's not necessarily the case, I would say.
I mean, that's a pretty
I don't
conservative
know how
loan
you-
for
I
$1
don't-
million. That's,
Will this business generate local option sales tax as well through service?
Yeah, they sell a lot of skill equipment, lawnmowers.
And I assume they're gonna
and
service their units?
Well, and agricultural and construction equipment.
Okay.
I talked to Ziegler at the state convention last September. They had a booth there, and yeah, the farm economy slowed them down, there's no doubt about it. In Portsmouth, or I think it is in eastern Iowa, they slowed that one down too. They were supposed to be probably done by now here, but, they're still coming.
And I wasn't on the council at the time that this, I was on the original discussions as the interim city manager, but they bought, 30 acres? Is that right, roughly?
That sounds about right.
Yeah.
And they did a voluntary annexation,
Correct.
Yes.
and they're gonna build they're gonna have a minimum assessed value of $5.5 million,
Correct.
For
Which-
guarantee for 20 years.
which once we're paid back, would generate $100 and some thousand a
About
year.
105,000 a year, somewhere in there.
so we talk about the farm economy going down. The farm economy went down because the consumer went down with cat. Would everyone agree with that? The consumer did, correct? So acting like all of a sudden we're gonna build this cat thing here and it's gonna take off, the consumer has to change. But does anyone know how cat things get fixed now? In town?
Fort Dodge, I think they go to Fort Dodge.
Yes.
They don't.
There's service trucks on the
You,
road. Yeah.
you can go up there, or there's a part place, because I call numerous people that use cat equipment to ask, what problem are we solving, right? Is there a problem with getting their cats fixed and stuff like that? What do you think the resounding answer was to? There is no problem,
Then why is CAT coming here?
because they're getting $1 million to build a building. That's why they're coming here.
They're actually
They're
wanting to
getting
shut down,
infrastructure.
they're actually wanting to shut down their Fort Dodge office, is what they want to do. So everything will be here.
That was originally what they wanted to do.
And that's what they're still doing.
Do we have that in writing?
Do we have that in writing?
No, I don't.
Yeah.
I mean, like,
I mean, for me, not being on the council when this happened, several years ago too, heck yes, on the original build, 35 to 40 million, 20 to 40 jobs, and then if Fort Dodge shut down, it would be 60 jobs here. The 1.1 is a no-brainer. But now that it's changed so drastically, down to $5.5 million valuation and only 6 jobs, that's $183,000 a job. The actual median income in Carroll is $69,000. It's like, I have to look at the average taxpayer that I'm representing, that say, no, we don't need to keep doing all these deals unless, let them give some. In my business world, we wouldn't have done a deal like this either. And I have done deals with the likes of Costco's and Walmart's and all those large billion-dollar companies. They all have to give something. That's part of the negotiation, as Jason said. I just think this is, yes, we want Carroll to grow, but I think we're setting a precedent here now for others to come. And then what do we do for the next guy that comes to the table?
We will also set a precedent if we don't do this.
Not necessarily, Laverne. I think if you don't, they
just
come.
the opposite of what you just said.
They're
going to
come back to, if they wanted to build here, I think they're going to come back to the table.
yes.
But I think we've not given any indication that it's been a yes deal for them since day one. Nobody ever said, now that they changed their terms, we didn't change ours.
That's correct.
Yeah, I just want to negotiate it out. That's, like any other deal in town. And I don't know if we can go back to them and see if we can, or tell me where the negotiation was. It was just us saying yes.
Part of the negotiation, and it's alluded to in Aaron's memo, is that public improvements, water and sewer, they are doing what was intended with the first project. They're putting it all in. We were going to pay for it, then they were going to take it further to advance from 1,100 linear feet water and sewer up to now 3,300 feet. Also, if you read our development agreement with them, they mentioned that they anticipate they're paying for it. We're loaning them the money, but they're anticipating that the infrastructure now is going to cost them $1.5 million. We have capped it and said, no, we are giving you a loan for 1.1. And that is in the memo. The 1.5 million is in the agreement. What I see, and I think smart people look at the big picture long term. I guess I want to see this a cup half full. And so they still own the full 30 acres. They're creating a presence in Carroll. And they are thinking maybe, I don't know, but it's just me, maybe they are thinking at some point we are going to start here where we feel comfortable given whatever the economics are with their business. And they've had some problems. And that, okay, we still own the 30 acres. We put in all the infrastructure to support a much bigger facility. And we have held them to the 1.1 million, not the 1.5. They estimate they will have to invest to set that up. So I'm looking at this too. A $5.5 million building is better than looking at barren soil.
Carolyn, smart people sign good deals and negotiate in good faith.
I think
That's a bit.
Like smart people don't go broke. You go broke
We're
making
all
bad
a lot
deals.
of smart people up here.
Yeah, there's a lot of smart people up here.
I don't think
that
that
negotiate
was
good deals.
necessary.
Well, we're repeating ourselves, so I think we're ready to.
I'm curious, though, with the extension that you just mentioned of the water and wastewater past where we originally intended, is there potential, Aaron, or maybe Randy, I don't know who asked the question of businesses to the west of this going for voluntary annexation so that they too could access city infrastructure?
Well, I'll just say Randy's been contacted by the DOT, which isn't the next piece of property, but it's the second piece of property. And they would be willing to pay something to help extend that line to them. I'm gonna let Randy handle that negotiation with them. he's got a good contact with them. So that would allow us to have a little bit more of an expansion of that water and sewer line past Ziegler. The other part to note is Ziegler does not have to, well, they do according to the development agreement, but they did not have to run that water line from their east border to the west border. The only thing that was required is from the east side of the West Raccoon, or the Middle Raccoon River to their east
Property line. So why did they decide to
Well,
extend it?
that was a statement from Terry Draper. He said, well, I'll run it from here to here without you guys paying for it as a good neighbor. That was his statement in that meeting that we had with Mark. Are there other people that we'll wait and see? My crystal ball isn't all that great, but I would guess there is. But there's a possibility. You can't promise that, but if the DOT wants to help us there and they want to connect, I think that's a good thing also.
I worry about losing this deal if we don't do this. I get where you're coming from. It's more expensive than it was before, but what if we say no and they never come?
We've been talking to them for 2.5 years. Like, they obviously want to come here if we've been talking to them for 2.5 years.
At one
Like
point,
you
at
said yourself.
1.1 million.
Okay, they're at one point for 2.5 years.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, they don't call this a negotiation. This was simply giving Ziegler what they want. Like,
That's true.
You are literally like.
You're right with that, but am I gonna take a chance on them not coming? It was mentioned in that meeting, if we don't pay for the infrastructure, will they come? And they said, no, we will not come if you don't pay for the infrastructure.
Do they own the ground?
Yes.
Yeah. They already own the ground.
They already
so-
own the ground, man. We have, like, they
At
own
that
the
time,
ground.
no, they didn't own the ground at that time.
So this is when you're in a negotiation, you look at your positives that you have. They own the ground.
No,
Does that
Deb,
make
you're right,
sense?
they didn't own the ground at that.
They did. Now they own the ground.
Yeah.
Like, they own the ground. Like, if they wanna sit there and pay tax on the ground, that's fine. Go right ahead. Like, that's where the negotiation that I feel like we're missing in this is that we're not going back and being like, okay, let's meet somewhere here. But I mean, if you guys, yeah, I mean, if you want, whatever the council wants, I just think it's the worst deal that's ever been negotiated. The Iran deal looks great, the first
No,
one.
the point's well taken.
Mark's got something. Go ahead.
2 quick comments. First, to Jeff's point about it's not a tax,
No, it's not a property tax.
not property tax,
Yeah.
but it's also not free.
Right.
And I just want to make sure that it's clear that when you tip something, you're taking money away from the schools and from the county. They've got to meet their demands too. What do they do?
But that's money they wouldn't have absent this building.
Once it's all done and over
Right,
with.
right.
But not today.
But they wouldn't have it anyway. But they wouldn't have it. It's a loaf of bread, Mark.
I understand that.
So, but what you're
One
saying
thing-
is they aren't giving anything up. And I'm gonna argue with you on this. And I tried to explain it to you before.
Okay,
It's money they don't have.
correct,
It's money they would never have
correct.
unless we do a deal with
You
this.
don't know, okay. I'm-
But you don't know that either. So it's a hypothetical. So I appreciate your sentiment, but it's an argument that we don't know.
I
So
wish you
you
had
can
this
either
much-
take, we're talking, don't interrupt. We can either take the deal and work with them or not. And then most likely, not, again, probably wouldn't have something there. I don't understand the not wanting to invest, Mark. And it doesn't make a lot of sense.
I'm willing to invest.
No, you're not. Everything we've talked about says
Are
no.
we gonna argue, or are we gonna just visit?
We're just gonna visit, so
I would-
we're not gonna argue.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
I was good with the first deal, wasn't I?
I wouldn't agree with that, but you went along with it.
Okay, so you agree.
Yeah, so here's the point.
Well, make a
So,
motion. You can do
back
it.
money that they didn't ever have, if you don't do it organically and naturally,
I will.
and through processes and things. You take a look at things that happened, you can name businesses all over town that happened without a 20% assistance from the city. Okay?
That was years ago. Things, like I mentioned at that last meeting, I go to these statewide meetings, and it has totally changed right now.
Okay,
You talked to Boone once. They gave away the farm to get that. They'll probably never get an ROI out of that. That all has changed, Mark, and, you know, I go to these meetings, I talk to these developers all over the state of Iowa and around it, and they're telling me until we pay for infrastructure, they're not even gonna look at Carroll.
I go to meetings too, Laverne.
Yeah?
And I go to meetings from the other side of you.
Yeah, I know you do.
And things do happen. In 2024, Ziegler approached Emmitsburg. They wanted assistance, got nothing. They built anyway. That also happened in Grundy Center in 2023. Look it up. But
I just think, I wish that you guys had as much passion as arguing this out as we did in the negotiations. And he brings up 2 points that there's 2 builds that were done without infrastructure. There's got to be room in a negotiation if you have a good faith negotiation.
Okay. I think we've all made made our points. We'll close the public hearing at 6:09 PM.
Here, I'll make a motion to take this thing and actually negotiate it out. Like, not say no, but to actually go in there and negotiate.
The recommendation is here.
The recommendation.
Recommendation is what we have to vote
To
on.
approve, that's all we can vote on. We can't change what we're voting.
We can table things, can't we?
Dave, I'm not sure about that.
Sure you can.
Okay.
It's a council decision.
Because it's not worth a try to negotiate this out.
Are you gonna make a motion to table this?
I'll
then?
make a motion to table it on the grounds that we got to try to negotiate this out somewhat.
All right, there's a motion on.
Well, hang on a second, I haven't been involved in this
There's
for quite a while.
There's a motion on the table.
Okay,
Okay,
all right.
is there a second?
I'll second.
All right, there's a motion by Jason, second by Deb. Roll call, please.
Did you have discussion before we do that?
Well,
You have something to say before we.
yeah,
can
I
vote
just
it.
don't know where Ziegler, you've been with them lately and I haven't. Are they gonna be willing to wait?
They've been very wanting to move quickly since starting this last round of negotiations.
They intend to have the building built by December 31st of '26, no later than January 1st. It's in the development agreement. They want to be up and running. They're ready to
Okay.
shovel dirt.
Then if they're ready to go, we have 2 proof sources that if they're ready to go, they're going to break ground.
Let's vote.
Okay,
Well, you've got a motion
All right,
on
we have a-
tabling it.
Yeah, I know,
Right.
that's what I mean on that.
a roll call, please.
Okay, yep, so this is a vote on to table the agreement. Atherton,
Yes.
Seaman,
No,
Kaler,
No.
Coster,
Yes.
Bauer,
No.
Dirks.
No.
Motion fails.
All right. Is there a motion approving and authorizing execution of a development agreement by and between the city of Carroll and Ziegler Carroll LLC, as presented?
so moved.
Carolyn? And
Second by Cobb.
Kyle second, roll call, please.
Bauer,
Yes.
Kaler,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes,
Dirks,
Yes.
Coster,
No.
Atherton.
No.
Motion is approved 4-2.
All right, we'll move on to the 2026 Westfield Urban Renewal Plan. And Aaron.
Thank you, Mayor. Having discussions with the developer, they were not quite ready to move forward with the development agreement, or I should say, not as ready as they thought they were. So because of some of the meetings they have with their corporate offices that they've got letters of intent with, they requested us that we would postpone the development agreement and public hearing until June 22nd.
All right, any discussion? We do. Will there be a motion then to extend that?
First one's for the 2026
Right.
Westfield Urban Renewal Plan.
Yeah.
Will there be a motion to that effect?
I'll make a motion to extend that.
By Kyle
Giving them more time to negotiate, huh?
Second.
and Duffield second. Roll call, please.
Bauer,
Yes.
Seaman,
yes,
Kaler,
Yes.
Atherton.
Yes.
Coster,
Yes.
Dirks.
Yes.
Motion's approved.
And we also need a motion extending the date of a public hearing on the proposal to enter into a development agreement with 30 Love LLC. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Jeff,
Second.
Kyle seconded. Roll call, please.
Taylor?
Yes.
Dirk?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
All right, thank you. The next one is Interstate Power and Light Company easement request, and we need to open a public hearing, and it is 6:13 PM. Randy?
Thank you, Mayor. Alliant Energy has requested a permanent gas pipeline easement and a temporary construction easement on property owned by the city in the southwest quadrant of Highway 30 and Grant Road. The actual easements are along the north edge of that property. The permanent easement is along the north edge of that property, adjacent to the Highway 30 right-of-way. The project is, or the easement is part of a larger high-pressure gas main easement that will extend along Grant Road from 5th Street to 7th Street. Unless there are any questions, I would recommend your consideration of approval of granting the easements to Interstate Power and Light, Alliant Energy.
All right. Any questions from the council? Is there any input from the public on this issue? All right, we're gonna close the public hearing at 6:14 PM. And we'll look for a resolution, motion approving the resolution granting easement across city real estate.
So moved.
By Jeff,
Second.
and was that Kyle? Okay, all right, and roll call, please.
Dirks?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Kaler?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
All right, and next one is the fiscal year 2025-26 budget amendment number 2. We'll open a public hearing again, it's at 6:15 right now, and Laura.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. This is a time for the public hearing on our budget amendment number 2. It was published in accordance with state law on Friday, February 15th. The items that are included are all items that were a part of our reestimates our fiscal 26 reestimates when we were preparing our fiscal 27 budget. I won't go item by item, but if there is any question on any particular one, just let me know and I will answer it. Otherwise, this is the time for the public hearing so that we can get this completed and filed with the state before the end of May as required by
All right, any questions from council for Laura?
I just have a general question. When the re-estimates were done, it was what, December, January, during budget prep? Now that we're further into the budget year, are you still looking pretty much on track with where you anticipated the re-estimates to be?
Yes, yep, we are. Yep, and we'll keep monitoring those as we get into the fiscal year. We have 1 month left, just a little over 1 month left, and making sure we don't overspend our budget.
Okay.
All right, anyone in the public want to make comment? All right, we'll close the public hearing at 6:16 PM. And at this time, we'll look for a motion approving the resolution amending the current budget for fiscal year ending June 30th, 2026. Is there a motion?
So moved.
Jeff made the
Second.
motion, Carolyn second. Roll call, please.
Atherton?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Kaler?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirk?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Resolution's approved.
Okay, next we'll go to audit services proposal for fiscal years 2026, 27, and 28, and Laura.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. Proposals RFPs were sent out to receive proposals from firms for our audit services for auditing the fiscal years 26, 27, 28. The proposals were sent to 11 firms, and we received 1 proposal back from Feldman and Company CPAs, which they have been doing the city's audit for a number of years now. And you can see that they had proposed fees for fiscal 26 of $21,600, for fiscal 27, $22,800, and for fiscal 28 of $24,000. I feel this is a really good bid that we received, and it is much lower than what I had originally put in our budget for next year, so I'm very excited about that. So I'm looking for council to approve the resolution entering into another 3-year deal with Feldman and Company.
I'm glad they're doing it. They've done it for years. They've done a great job. I am curious though, with having sent out 11, you said, do you have any guesstimate of why we're not, is it because everybody knows
No.
that they've done it, or are we just, is there a reason you think we're not getting any bids? Or-
I think more the reason is there are not as many firms doing city audits,
Mhm.
and the ones that are just full. They don't have any more capacity to take on any new clients.
I have to assume that with their experience with us, it'll be a more streamlined process for them than it would be for an outside firm anyway.
Right, yep, there's a new one coming in. Cities do operate very similar, but there are very unique city by city,
Mhm.
how you do something, so.
Well, I'm glad they decided to do it, because
Me too.
I was kind of under the impression that they might not.
Yeah, with Jennifer Walkup retiring, there was an indication, I can't, a couple years ago, that they may not continue with the city's audit, but they are working and training staff. Their current
Mhm.
staff have been doing additional training to be able to pick up and continue these services.
I would move approval of the resolution.
Second.
Okay, Jeff
And Laverne.
and Laverne seconded. Roll call, please.
Taylor?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
The motion is approved.
All right, next one is depository resolution, and Laura.
Yes, so this was required to take a look at, as we had a couple of banks that changed names over the past year or so, with Bank of the West being bought out by BMO Bank NA, and then Iowa Savings Bank is now merged with Midwest Heritage Bank. And then when we needed to update those names, and then I'm also asking council to consider increasing the amount that we can have funds at each of the banks, just to allow for some flexibility if funds need to be moved around. For instance, we're planning on receiving some debt proceeds later this year in the amount of around $10 million, and being able to have that flexibility to move the money around and invest in CDs or money markets. This would be very helpful to increase that. Not saying that, and I still try to work with all the banks on trying to get best interest rates on CDs and calling around and making sure we're trying to invest the best way we can.
Any questions?
Is this is cash reserve, right?
This is all city funds,
Yeah. All city funds.
all
Okay.
city funds, yes.
All right.
All right, will there be a motion to approve the depository resolution as presented?
So moved.
By
Second.
Jeff?
Deb.
Jeff seconded.
Yeah.
Roll call, please.
Taylor?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Dirk?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Atherton?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Okay. Next one is infill housing incentive program, and Aaron?
Thank you, Mayor. As requested by council at the last council meeting to adjust our infill housing programs to withdraw the West Gulfview subdivision development out of the available infill housing incentive program. That's what you have in front of you is our policy that has been adjusted to do that as requested.
All right, any questions for Aaron? All right, is there a motion to approve the resolution adopting a revised infill housing incentive program?
So moved.
By Deb?
Second.
Jason, second. Roll call, please.
Atherton?
Yes.
Taylor?
Yes.
Coster?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Dirks?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Resolution is approved.
Okay. Under reports, first one is on West Central Iowa Rural Water Association. Request to provide water service, and Randy?
Thank you, Mayor. The West Central Iowa Rural Water has requested to provide water service within 2 miles of the city at 23572 210th Street and 18503 Kitty Hawk Avenue. Your options under the Iowa Code are now not respond to the request within 75 days. In that case, at the end of that time, West Central Iowa Rural Water could provide service at their election. Or within 75 days, notify the association that you need additional time or information to study the provision of water service outside the corporate limits. Thirdly, you could waive the right to provide water service. In that case, West Central would have the prerogative to provide the service there. And fourthly, you could reserve the right to provide water service outside the corporate limits. If that is selected, preparations must be made to provide that service within 3 years. So unless there are any questions, I'd recommend your consideration of waiver of the right to provide water service, and West Central would likely provide it.
I have a question, Randy. The 2 mile, does that go back to the old 2 miles thing, or is that part of a state code, or?
This 2 miles is part of the state code.
Okay.
Yeah, it's separate from the zoning 2 mile.
I was just curious if that was connected to the 2 mile
No,
radius.
it's a
that we
different
used to have.
state code section.
Okay.
Mhm.
And typically, the city has just waived the right, because we don't want to extend service outside the city, absent annexation.
Yeah, that's been the council's practice in the past, is not to extend water service beyond the corporate limits or use that as a tool to get, to require annexation.
Right, okay.
All right, any other questions? And I'll look for a motion to approve the waiver of the right to provide water services presented by Randy.
So move.
By Jeff. Is there a second?
I'll second that.
Kyle seconded. Roll call, please.
Atherton,
Yes.
Seaman,
Yes.
Coster.
I need to abstain, that's my son-in-law.
Okay, very good, thank you. Dirks,
Yes.
Kaler,
Yes.
Bauer.
Yes.
Motion is approved.
All right, Randy, you're back up again, I guess, with the motor grader replacement, please.
Thank you, Mayor. The city owns a 1987 John Deere motor grader. It has approximately 8,000 operating hours on it. Recently, metal filings were found in the hydraulic fluid, and we've been advised by people that know better than us that those filings are probably coming from either the hydraulic pump or the transmission. The area John Deere construction equipment dealer has provided us a price to verify where those filings are coming from. And that price is between $19,000 and $58,000 to verify. And if it's found that the source is actually one of those two, the hydraulic pump or the transmission, neither is available for this 40-year-old machine. So at this point, it appears your options may be to do nothing. In that case, the grader would be used until it does not run anymore. The grader doesn't have a lot of hours on it, obviously, but they're critical hours in the wintertime in particular. So not having it run is probably not the best of alternatives for service to the city. Secondly, repair the motor grader. Of course, that would begin with determining where it's coming from. And if it's found that it is the hydraulic pump or transmission, it could not be fixed. Simple as that. There are no parts for it.
Randy, how long has the city owned this?
How long?
Yeah.
Since 1988, I believe.
Good times, right, Ken?
Anyway, third option would be to replace the motor grader. We have looked into the pricing for new motor graders and used motor graders that are currently available, and we've indicated or listed those for you. The funding for the replacement is not contained in the current budget or in next fiscal year's budget. There is in next fiscal year's road use tax fund budget funding for the replacement of a heavy-duty truck in the amount of $275,000. It's not recommended to delay the purchase of that truck in lieu of purchasing this motor grader. And we say that because we have scheduled, or we will be proposing, the replacement of both the four-wheel drive tractor and another heavy-duty truck in the following fiscal year, the 27-28 fiscal year. So the recommendation, unless there are any questions, is purchase of a motor grader, and we're recommending the 2021 John Deere motor grader from Murphy Tractor and Equipment at a price of $203,000, and the sale of the current motor grader to Kansas Tractor Parts. They have offered $5,000 for that, plus they pay the freight to get it to Kansas. And the net cost at $198,000 to be funded through the road use tax fund balances.
Randy, do have a question about it, and you probably considered this, I'm sure I'm wrong for even thinking it, but what's wrong with keeping that thing, using it till, buying a new one? Keeping the one we've got and run it till it dies, and maybe save a few hours on the new one. Is there problems with storing it?
It could probably be arranged, but at 8,000 hours in almost 40 years of ownership, the city doesn't need 2 motor graders. You just don't. It's 200 hours a year is not a lot of hours. But like I say, unfortunately, they're critical hours in the wintertime. And to move away from having a motor grader in the city, probably not recommended because of its use in the wintertime. But at 200 hours, I don't think you'd want to even house 2 motor graders.
So Randy, I have a question. Has anyone else looked at this? Because I just did a quick Google search. And there's all types of hydraulic pumps that you can get for this. I'm not saying that John Deere, has anyone else looked at this though? Because on a quick Google search, this looks like a $2,000 part.
Okay. No, we haven't. We've just been told. And in order to find out which of the $2,000 parts you need, you'll spend between $19,000 and $58,000.
At this one place though, we haven't looked like anywhere else. Like perfect example, if I wrecked a government vehicle, we went to 3 places to see, or your insurance requires you to go to 3 places. We didn't.
No, we went to the John Deere dealer.
Yeah, I'm very frustrated with them because they say they don't even, I literally just Googled it right here and it just.
Those would be used parts, I would assume. Because they're not manufactured anymore.
Well, they're not, yeah, but you can get them, I guess.
Yeah,
like.
used parts.
I think it'd be worth like looking at another, you know what I mean?
You can put a used pump into a 40-year-old motor grader.
Does a motor grader work?
Now? Yeah.
Well, then,
It's got filings in the
if it works,
hydraulic
if a
oil.
used pump, I probably wouldn't put a new one in a 40, I'd put a used one in. And who knows how long we can buy from it.
Randy, did they happen to say, that's a pretty huge range, 19 to 58? The 19 seemed high. But 19 to 58 is so radical. And then they said if it happened to be one of the 2 things they think it might be, then that's just money wasted because it can't be. What's another thing that might be wrong besides those 2 things that would explain the metal filings?
Did not say.
Did they offer any explanation on that huge gap between?
No, that one, I inquired, I feel the same way, or I think the same way. And
I think they could tear
inquired,
the whole thing apart for that kind of money.
That's what they have to do to get to the hydraulic pump.
Okay.
And transmission. That's the problem.
I would just like to get another quote on it maybe, just 'cause it's only one. I don't think that would hurt anything, especially when you have a spread from $19,000 to $58,000. I think it's too much to ask for to get another quote.
Laura, Randy, do you know what our balance is for road use tax? The balance, not what we get in on an annual basis.
Current fund balance is probably around 4.9 million.
Okay.
Randy, what's the, so say this thing shells out tomorrow. I'm with Jason, on, 40 years on a piece of equipment that the city relies on, have something that long is pretty impressive. That's still in operation. I think finding the used parts is going to be tough, but more labor than anything getting it. My only worry is buying something used as you're buying somebody else's problem with 4,000 hours, which isn't a lot of hours on a diesel motor, but they're hard hours too. So, is it something that we get another year or 2 out of it, budget for a new one later on? If you get 40 years out of it, your cost of ownership is pretty minimal.
Yeah, well, we don't know if we get another year out of it. We'd drive it until it doesn't drive anymore. But it's unknown, with whatever is happening. Obviously, hydraulic fluid in that tractor, obviously hydraulic fluid goes through the hydraulic pump. So there's an opportunity to get filings in it if your pump is bad. In that tractor, the hydraulic fluid is all stored in the transmission. And that's why they say it could also be filings from the transmission unit. So, yeah, it can be driven, yeah, as long as it can be driven. As far as new, certainly we would have liked to have new, but at 200 hours a year, yeah, there could be buying some problems in a used piece of equipment.
I'm just looking at it overall, like, if you have this thing for the next 40 years, your cost of replacement is gonna be much higher.
Kyle, would you be against having somebody else look at it to see?
No, I think,
if-
honestly, I
yeah.
think an independent guy, you have an
Yeah.
independent guy, nothing against the dealership side, but independent guy that has the knowledge of, John Deere or the OEM that has less dollars per hour labor rate, but still knows the technology, not like it needs programming or computer work that's gotta go to the manufacturer for. And maybe one of the older guys that's on their own has experienced this in the past, some of that past knowledge. I do think in the future it's something we need to look at updating, something that's 40 years old that we rely on all the time. It's not a big deal today, but when somebody's street's not plowed or the gravel road's not graded, somebody's gonna be calling, complaining about it.
And this
Me
thing's not
too.
gonna be used anytime soon, so if we tabled it and we got somebody else to look at it, it's not gonna affect the ultimate outcome of this thing on the road in 2 weeks.
Well, we'd use it, we'd continue to use it, to grade gravel roads. I mean, they're infrequently graded, but our gravel roads kind of have a lot of traffic on them comparatively. So we have to continue using it. That's just the
Are
way
we
it is.
talking about gravel roads like,
Party Town
alleys?
Pizza.
We do use it for alleys, but,
You do?
we've got a few miles of gravel road in town. Probably 5, a little over 5.
And have we reached out, Randy, to like I know taking us all the way to Kansas, for $5,000. What about some of the locals, like, some of the graders locally, like, I mean, Houseman pops in my head. Some of those young guys, they may be interested in it as well, if we're gonna end up doing it for $5,000.
Yeah, we considered that, not necessarily any one in particular, but gov deals, for example, bidding, putting a reserve on it, whatever. This number was given to us by Murphy Tractor and Equipment. They had arranged with Kansas Tractor Parts to pay that much. And then Kansas Tractor Parts comes up and gets it at their cost. I guess it seemed like the better alternative to me. I don't necessarily think I'd want to sell a tractor that's got metal filings in the hydraulic fluid to an
But I'd
individual.
want us to be completely transparent. But
I
yeah,
mean, you
I mean, it
can.
just seems like
Yeah.
that's a long ways for $5,000 if.
That's their number,
Yeah.
Yeah, and it could go out to gov deals, but, I guess it's a moral thing as much as anything. Are you gonna sell a tractor has a problem?
I think in the spirit of working with Kyle here, I'll make a motion to table and have somebody else look at it just to verify that that's, where that cost is and stuff like that.
Randy, are there other, I'm sure there probably are some independent people. Are you, without naming names, are you familiar with other places you could call to have them look at it, or?
Well, I'm not offhand. I'm sure we could find someone, but,
Okay.
not offhand.
Any risk of losing the one that you're hoping to buy now?
Oh, sure. Yeah, there is. I mean, it's for sale. That's Murphy Tractor's business, is selling.
And where are
so-
they from?
They are from Fort Dodge.
Okay.
Did you have a question?
I was just gonna say, there's a place in Manila that repairs dozers and that too, they might be able to.
Okay. Well, okay, so there's a motion on the table, on the floor to table this.
Yeah, table it and
Yes.
get some more.
I'll second.
Motion not on the table, okay, and there's a second, and a roll call, please.
Howard,
Yes.
Seaman,
No.
Pastor,
Yes.
Kaler,
Yes.
Dirk,
cemetery for people to appreciate. Speaker for that event. And, I might not have said that though. And then thank you who we're talking about, and that's serving. He's in the streets of Hormuz, as a matter of fact, sitting on a ship. So, you know, that's one special thing for me. But everybody has someone. I know Jason. I don't know if we have any other veterans here on the. And Jeff, you're not veteran of police only, but
Yeah.
Jason, thank you for your service that
Thank you.
you went through, and that's just something I wanted to bring up.
So I have a comment too. I want to thank Parks and Rec. I gave Chad kind of an impossible task to, at our cemetery, we have each war monument up there. And my generation is kind of called the conflict generation, where there's not necessary wars and stuff like that. And they end up being the forgotten generation. So I gave him probably an impossible task to represent a large portion of my generations who are now fathers and teachers and lawyers, and to come up with a replicable statue for OIF and OEF, which is Operation Enduring Freedom and Operation Iraqi Freedom, and did an absolutely phenomenal job. Got it done on Memorial Day. And so if you get time to get out there, please stop by, see it. There's some anonymous donors and stuff like that. But I want to know that for my generation of warriors, that you're seen, you're heard, and we love you. And so that's it.
Any other comments? City manager?
I don't have any tonight.
Okay. I will look for a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
Jeff?
Second. Oh.
Come on, buddy.
Seconded.
Sleep at the wheel there, buddy.
Taylor?
Yes.
Bauer?
Yes.
Seaman?
Yes.
Our cemetery
Yes.
is amazing, isn't it?
Yes.
When I travel around to see them, I mean,